Hello, you all don't know me, but I'm Nynaeve's youngest sister, Kayana, and I am just here because I decided that it was time for me to get to Nynaeve and remind her of who she is, the wisdom, and actually let her know, like only a younger sister can, Nynaeve, pull your shit together. What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I am your hostess, doing the mostest, Ciaran, and we are here with the season premiere. 3 episodes, y'all, of Amazon Prime Studios, The Wheel of Time. Now, this is crazy. When I watched the season, I was blown away. Went on a whole 8-hour binge. Like, I was like, okay, this is gonna be the last episode, this is gonna be the last episode, and it was never the last episode until it was the last episode, and I was just like, I think it's high time for me to buy the books. And shout out to the people on TikTok who let me know that there's 14 books in the series, so I definitely need to hop to this. Now, one of the things that I learned from the creator of the show is that apparently Amazon was like, hey, can y'all start season 3 off with like a bang? And Rafe was just like, of course I can do that. What I did not know is that he would exceed all of their expectations and literally start us off with a war. Like, sir, I don't think this is what they asked for. I think you overshot what they meant, but why? Why did you do this to us? Like, out the gate, I was just like, Miss Jackson. And you know, I love me a good supernatural. I love me some good like lore, especially things that are written in books or based on books like Harry Potter. I'm super obsessed with that. Love the Game of Thrones. There's a book series by Kae Alexander, the Silk and Steel Saga. Again, by Kae Alexander, that I would love to be turned into a TV series. Karen, if you're watching, if you're listening, please let us know if this is in the works. But I just love stuff like this and just fantasy in the worlds in the way that directors and writers are able to go into the mind of the author and just recreate these worlds and recreate these battles that we end up seeing. And it really reminds you of sitting in front of that book with that adrenaline rush and just being stressed with every page. If you're like me, you've probably thrown your books out of frustration because it's like, it don't make no sense, right? Like, I will literally be upset with these characters in the book and like put the book down for like 2 weeks as like a punishment to the book. Like, girl, the pages are already written. But that's how invested I began. So with The Wheel of Time season 3, after binging season 1 and season 2, I know lots of hours have gone into the series for me. Lots of hours have gone into putting together my notes to bring y'all recaps and reviews of each episode. So if you cannot tell by this long ass introduction, I am very excited. So I'm gonna be getting into this. I'm gonna go over the cast, and then for each episode I'm gonna tell you who the director and who the writer is. It is a huge ensemble cast. I didn't get to, I have to go look at the rest of my notes to see like the different cinematographers, but the main information that I was able to get for every episode are the director and the writers, okay, and then the cast. So we're gonna start with episode 1. Okay, so let's give you the name of the episode. The name of episode 301 is To Race the Shadow. The director is Ciaran Donnely, and the writer is Justine Gillmer. So 2 of the main directors were Ciaran and Thomas Napper. I think there's another director in here somewhere, but they did the majority of the episodes. Now, for those of you who be tuning into my podcast, but you ain't never heard of The Wheel of Time, or you just haven't had like the chance to watch it or sit down, I'm gonna tell y'all who like the main cast is, and I'm gonna give y'all some introductions of like new main players in season 3. I'm gonna give you a quick synopsis of season 1 and 2, and I mean very quick because we have to get through 3 episodes today, okay? And then as a reminder, I'm gonna do this podcast episode especially for the premiere, and then every week you can find episode recaps on YouTube as well as on TikTok. It's gonna be in short form content, 3 minutes or less, just going over what's happening every episode thereafter. So the premiere is today, March 13th, and then it will air weekly on Prime Video, and I will be giving my recaps at that time. So does it make sense? Does it make sense? Okay, it makes sense. Now the cast. We have Rosamund Pike, who plays Moiraine, Daniel Henney, who plays Lan, Josha Stradowski, who plays Rand, the dragon prince, Zoe Robins, who plays Nynaeve, Kayana's older sister. Kayana is a character I just made up. Now, if there's older sister, youngest sister, but if there's like a young sister or a young sibling in these books, I'm gonna be gagged because I've not read any of them. But yeah, what y'all think about my little skit at the beginning? You know, trying to make it fun. Madden, who plays Egwene, love her name. Marcus Rutherford, who plays Perrin. Donal Finn, who plays Matt. Ciara Coveney, who plays Elayne. Kate Fleetwood, who plays Leandrin. Natasha O'Keefe, who plays Lanfear. Sophie Okonedo, who plays Siuan Sanche, or the Emerald. I don't remember in my notes what I call her, but I'm pretty sure I call her Siuan because I was tweeting about season 1 and season 2, and I called her Siuan the entire time. Ayula Smart, who plays Avienda, so that's one of the new characters that was introduced at the end of season 2, who is showing up to be like one of the main ensemble in season 3. The next new member, who we saw a little bit of but is now like in the main ensemble cast, is Kae Alexander, who plays Min. Laya Costa, who plays Moghedien. Moghedien is one of my favorite Forsaken, and I just love the role that she's playing in this season. I love her so much. And the incomparable Shohreh Aghdashloo, who plays Elida. Oh my god. Every time I see this, like, there's 3 people. Are there 3 people? Okay, there's 3 people, 3 actresses in this who, when I see their face, like, I have like classical conditioning to react a certain way. Rosamund Pike, every time I see her, like, I'm scared because, girl, you've been evil in everything that I've seen, and like brilliantly evil. And so what she does for Moiraine just keeps me in a chokehold because I'm like, do I trust her? I don't know. And then we have Sophie Okonedo. I love her in everything that she does. I love her voice. I love her eyes. I just love her presence on screen. And also she just gives off like chill, but she is absolutely the coolest mofo in the room. Like, her swag and her energy just puts me at peace and like makes me feel ease. So I just love like feeling her energy and feeling her presence come off the screen or like photo shoots or anything like that. I just really love her. And then we have Shohreh Aghdashloo. Listen, ma'am, you up there with Rosamund Park. Like, I mean Rosamund Park. Rosamund Pike. Like, when have you ever been good? Like, when have you never had any ulterior motives? So of course, as I'm watching the episode and I see her come in, I said, don't trust you. Don't trust you. I don't care what happens in the rest of these books. I don't trust you. And so to have a cast where it's like a mix of people who aren't like thrust in the spotlight, who haven't been thrust in the spotlight for so long, mixed in with some straight up OG legends, it's so fun to watch them all together. And I can only imagine what some of the younger cast members who are, you know, hitting their stride in their career, especially with this show and staying booked and busy with the show. I can only imagine like the insights and stuff that they're able to take back, and I hope that they're learning a lot because I would love to work with those 3 legends. Okay, this ain't about me. let's get into episode 1. So I already told y'all the name, the director, the writer. I'm gonna be reading from my notes because I did watch this a little bit ago. I don't remember everything. I talk so fast. I need to say, it's the Chicago in me. They say we're like Mississippians who speak Spanish. That's how fast we talk, but it is what it is. I'm not embarrassed. Okay, so boom. Episode 1. Oh, I forgot to give y'all, sorry for the people who don't know anything about the Wheel of Time. Okay, boom, season 1. So the Wheel of Time, we're in this place called the Two Rivers, and everything is pretty, everything looks good. Just quick information, fun facts. All of the locations and stuff for all of the seasons are actual location shots, and everything was built by the set decorators and production designers. So not a lot of CGI in here, literally like 98 to 99% all practical, all location and stuff like that. So everything that you see is beautiful to recreate the vision of the author from the books. So for those of you who aren't familiar with it, but you're kind of like over CGI and stuff like that, this series, everywhere they went, everywhere that they shot, these were real locations. They built things in real locations. You should really look it up. Okay, boom. So season 1, boom, we open it up at the Two Rivers, and then these Trollocs start attacking everybody in the place. You see Leandrin on the road capturing and killing men because the Dragon Reborn is out there somewhere and they're 20 years old. Well, Moiraine and her warder land, so all of the Aes Sedai, Moiraine is an Aes Sedai, she's a weaver, she's a channeler. They end up going to Tar Valon so that they can learn and become like a real sister or whatever, and then if they want, they can get a warder who's always there to protect them, and it's like magical strings, and if something happens to one, it happens to the other, they can feel it, all these other things. Okay, so boom, Moiraine is there with Lan because she's like, we need to round up all of these people that look like they're around the same age because we need to figure out who the Dragon Reborn is. Now, there's a lore in the Tar Valon Aes Sedai culture that says that the Dragon Reborn is going to be the one to either save all of humanity or burn it down. And he's reborn by somebody named Luce Thorin from 3,000 years ago. Cool. So Moiraine is there to basically be like, we need to monitor whoever the dragon is and make sure that they choose the light, because if they don't choose the light and they go to the dark one, then I'm slitting his throat. Okay. So she's collecting all of these people. So you have Rand, Nynaeve, Egwene, Perrin, and Matt. And something in them, they all have like weaves around them and everything like that. But by the time we get to the end of the season, we realize that Rand is actually the dragon, but the other 4 members play a role in what that looks like for the future state of the world. But Rand, you know, he's young, he's 20. Nynaeve is the oldest, she's 25. And she is the wisdom. And she's strong as hell. But we end up dealing with so many other things that end up happening and people around them dying, and so little bits and pieces starts to activate within them of what their power could look like. Nynaeve was one of the strongest channelers that they've had in 1,000 years. Following behind is Egwene. Perrin is a wolf man, so he's like can commune with wolves and stuff like that, and his eyes and stuff change. And Matt is kind of struggling in season 1. He just drinks a lot, he's kind of just looking out for himself because he's afraid. Cool. Into season 1, Moiraine loses her power. Rand tells her to figure out how to bend the truth and say that he didn't make it back. So with that, bending the truth, the Aes Sedai cannot lie, but they know how to say things, to omit certain things, or use other words to present something to you. And then what you take from it and what you believe is what you're going to believe. But they just cannot outwardly lie. Nynaeve is dealing with some blockage because she's scared of her own powers. It's either like all or it's either nothing. And so she's just kind of like in her way, but you know, she goes through the arches so that she can become one of the accepted, so she can move throughout the tower whenever she wants to be. So she goes into the tower And she goes into the arches and she ends up getting stuck. So they're like, she's dead. During that time, Elayne comes along and she befriends Egwene. Elayne is the heiress to the throne in one of the other places, and she could be one of the first queens of Dorne, I think is the name of the city that she's from, who's a true Aes Sedai and not just an honorary Aes Sedai. Strikes up a friendship with Egwene. Egwene is just like, nah, we need to figure out how we gonna go in here and get Nynaeve. Well, turns out Nynaeve was in there and she accepted the lie to get lost, but then some shit ended up going down, and she was in there with Lan, who she actually loves in real life, and they had a daughter, and everybody was getting killed and attacked by some Trollocs. So she takes her daughter, and so she comes out and they're like attacking everybody, and she actually ends up channeling inside of the arches. You're not supposed to be able to channel inside the arches, but she does, and she ends up opening up a portal, even though the saying is the pathway back will only come but once. Nothing happens the way that it's supposed to with Nynaeve. So she ends up running back through there while Egwene and Elayne was in their sleep, and boom, everybody's all back together. Moving things along, Liandrin got a son from when she was a child bride, and of course forced to have a sexual contact with the old man who married her, and she had a baby like 90 something years ago that she's been protecting. Well, Lanfear, one of the Forsaken who was awakened by Ishmael, who wants to get Rand to the dark side. Oh my god, this is gonna be a long ass recap, but episode. But Ishmael is going around and he wakes up Lanfear. She can walk through dreams, she can do all these other things, she can manipulate it. But we find out that Lanfear, aka Selene, but by the time we get to season 3, she's strictly going by Lanfear. She was like in love with the original Dragon Reborn. So it's this thing that continues to cycle over time. But Lanfear is just out to get her man. And Ishmael is like, I think she's gonna betray us. Like, she's always been the closest to Luce, even though Luce was his best friend. Liandrin is out here. She got her own agendas and everything like that. And she's literally like, every time I thought that I could root for her, I wanted her to die. So just take that as you will. And she ends up kidnapping Elayne, Egwene, and Nynaeve, and she's taking them to, she opened up one of the way gates. Sorry, she opened up one of the way gates and takes them to Ishmael and his little evil cohort. Nynaeve and Elayne end up getting away, but Egwene got caught and basically was put into slavery, where she had I think they were called like a Donnely or whatever, and it was this other person who could control her, and whenever they had this bracelet on, like, they could never harm their slave master, basically, who were also slaves. They could never harm them if they felt that any object that they picked up would be used to actually harm the other person. So every time they tried to harm their person to get away, they would get all of the excruciating pain. This girl was torturing her. Egwene was doing whatever she could to hold out. Then she finally gave in, but my sis gave in with a plan. She looked at Rhaena and she told Rhaena, I'm gonna kill you, girl. Yes, I was able to pick up this water and to give you the water so that you can drink, and I be out here practicing. But Egwene was out there practicing for herself, because at the end of the day, she's like, you know what? I'm powerful as fuck, and I know that I could break these chains. It is what it is. I'm just biding my time. Then Rhaena cut off her braid. So where the two rivers and stuff come from, Egwene was a pupil of Nynaeve, and their braids tied all of them together culturally as sisters. And then Rhaena cut it off thinking like, oh, I'm gonna cut you off from your ties of the past. Hell no. Egwene, okay? Egwene figured it out when they were supposed to be out there battling against Rand and Moiraine and Matt and all of them, like it's coming to like the penultimate of season 2. My good sis blew that whole fucking tower down, blew it all down. And when she got down, she basically figured out a way to kill Rhaena, get herself released as a slave, and it was just absolutely beautiful. Then the final battle took place on top of the tower. Rand was getting stilled. So they have these different words. So the Aes Sedai go around gentling the men, because it's basically like, oh, men who channel will go crazy and they'll kill their whole families, and so they gentle them by taking away their access to the one power. But stealing them don't remove the access. It just means that they can't fight, right? It's like putting on like a straight jacket. So they're doing all of that or whatever, and Ishmael is coming up because he's like, you know what, I don't have time for this. You need to choose now. And Egwene gets up. She's like, hell no, I'm about to protect my man. And Ishmael is like, I know ain't no little novice thinking that she finna like try to stop me. She ain't even no Aes Sedai. Bay. Egwene used that training to her advantage. She's over here standing up and blocking off somebody who's 3,000 years old and who has access to the old power, and he ain't standing a chance. And then the rest of the group end up doing whatever they need to do, and they linking up like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and they take Ishmael out. Moiraine was doing her job to blow up all of them ships from trying to steal Rand, and we was getting to work. And we ended up finding out and reporting that Liandrin was the one who kidnapped Egwene and Elayne and Nynaeve. So all of this goes back to Siuan, and by the time we get to the end of season 2, Moiraine has her powers back. Obviously, I just said it, and you know, everybody done leveled up. Everybody's a bad bitch. Even the men. Like, we're accepting our powers. Even Matt, who has a connection to the multiple lives, he's like a reincarnate. And so he has connection to multiple past lives, which gives him the ability to fight with the strength and the abilities of warriors from the past 3,000 years. And Perrin, you know, leans fully into, you know, his stuff. One of the guys from the White Cloaks, which comes up a lot in this, ended up killing his companion wolf, and so then he killed that man, and now it's like this whole beef with the guy's son or whatever. I don't remember the name right now off the top of my head, but it's in my notes for when we address it in later episodes. But that's where we end up on in season 2. Everything seems great, right? Hell no. We open up season 3 episode 1 with Liandrin being brought to trial. And Liandrin does this thing whenever she's in the hall where she likes to take the blame of her. Like, Liandrin is very much like, okay, you and Liandrin both took a match, both of y'all lit a match and lit somebody on fire, okay? But let's say when everything happened, you got away and Liandrin didn't. So Liandrin is on trial, and Leandrin's like, well, okay, well, I wasn't the only one there. So-and-so did it too. Like, why aren't you getting on them? Like, she's very much that type of shady and sneaky ass bitch. Like, it's crazy. Like, I literally been wanting to punch her in her jaw since I first met her. Everything she does is about herself. Everything she does is about herself. So she's in there and she's like, sisters, I know that the Amyrlin would like for you to believe that blah blah blah, but she found the dragon reborn and she has a duty and we're supposed to still him and gentle him, and she hasn't done any of those things. And Siuan's like, okay, yeah, girl, you ain't got no proof, but I have hella receipts. And she brings Nynaeve into the hall, and Leandra's like, oh shit, well, I guess I'm caught. And then boom, when they thought Liandrin was the only one who went to the Dark One, she had allies sitting in that room. The door was blocked, shut off to everybody on the outside. They could not get in, and all hell broke loose. Ladies is dying, people's getting their throats slit, like so much is happening. And what is Nynaeve doing in the corner? Still can't access her power in no type of life or death situation. I'm just like, girl, we're still doing this? We're still doing this. Okay, well, Liandrin, listen, Siuan was about to murk her. But Liandrin, as lucky as she is, ends up getting away. And just when you think like you could trust people and everybody else, she ended up having this Oh my god, what are their names? They're sisters. They're sisters. I don't want to scroll through my notes because I'm on a roll. But one of the other sisters, they're going to collect the old relics, and they look like the same devices that that they were using to collar the women when Egwene was collared with everybody else. And so there's 3 of them. Well, she ends up getting double crossed by somebody who was working for Liandrin, and one of the sisters, the girl ends up trying to remove both. She can manipulate and delete memories, and so while she was trying to delete both of their memories, one sister kind of was like caught it like right at the last minute, so she kind of deflected it, but her younger sister ended up getting affected. She didn't really see this coming because they raised this girl, like they knew this girl from like a baby. They would have never seen this coming, but she wasn't fast enough, so that happens. And so Liandrin and her minions, one from each color, like literally Power Rangers coded like none other. Somebody from the yellow sisters, the red sisters, the green sisters, the brown sisters, I think there's white. And so now with all of this stuff happening, season 3 is really about the prophecy of the Black Asha and getting close to the last battle. Woo! Okay, going back to my notes. Okay, so we are at this juncture, I believe like 1 month post everything going down, and romance, we're actually able to find some beauty in the destruction. And so with some of the romances, so we have romances that are stretched, we have new romances that are formed in this episode, and we have some that are rekindled a little bit. And this has just been a month since the battle with Ishmael. So what's kind of in these things? So we're dealing with the romance kind of being stretched and very challenged between Egwene and Rand, because PTSD is like the theme of season 3, specifically in Egwene's story and in Nynaeve's story and in Matt's story. But the women, it's a huge, heavy woman-centered show, and so we're dealing with a lot of PTSD. But it's not to say that the men don't go through that either, but it's kind of getting in the way of Rand and Egwene getting back together. And then Rand also has this big secret, like, you were sleeping with the enemy. Like, yeah, you found out Celine was really Lanfear, but you were still allowing access to Lanfear, and nobody knows besides Moiraine the nature of that relationship. But then we see who else ended up kind of hooking up. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Where we at? There's just a lot of flirting. Okay, I don't want to get ahead of myself, which it might come out within episodes 2 and 3, but just with episode 1, as far as like romance and relationships go, we're still dealing with the fallout of Moiraine and Siuan, which is like, they're like the wives of the show and the spouses of the franchise. But we already know that Moiraine still loves Siuan. Okay, now something that happens with this, Egwene is like, she's leveled up, and she's like, look, I'm gonna go through these arches tonight. I'm gonna be accepted, and I'm getting up out of this tower. Like, what are y'all gonna do for us? We ain't safe nowhere, and at this point, y'all are holding me back. Y'all are holding me back. And this is one of those things where, honestly, I'm wholeheartedly with Egwene, because all of season 1 and season 2, it was just like, Nynaeve is the strongest. Egwene has a lot of power, but Nynaeve is just so much stronger. And there was seeds of jealousy. But shout out to Elayne, even though she's the daughter heir, she clocked Egwene and was like, girl, jealousy do not look good on you. Her path and your path have nothing to do with one another. Like, you just need to be focusing on harnessing your powers and harnessing your strengths and figuring out where that is. So she was able to get through that, but what she went through in season 2 and what she was capable of doing, even under the torture, Rena was actually able to help her unlock that type of strength that allowed her to stand and shield Rand against Ishmael. So she's clearly strong. And the fact that Nynaeve still can't channel or access the one power, it's like Egwene is the one that you want. So she goes through the arches, she gets her little accepted ring, she gets her little cloak, so she's like, whatever, I'm leaving y'all, good day. So Moiraine and Lan meets with all of them, and she's like, listen, we meeting at dawn, so y'all need to figure out who's coming and who's not. Nynaeve and Matt decide to stay at the tower because Matt, since blowing the horn in last season, all he hears is the thoughts and memories of thousands of years. And while Nynaeve can't heal or do anything at all right now, she wants to stay and help him and get with the other Aes Sedai to try to figure out like what can she do. She's probably also trying to figure out like how can she get back and not be afraid of her own power. Perrin decides that he's going to go back to the Two Rivers because he just wants to go back home. Now, who was with Perrin? Perrin goes with Loyal and 2 of the Aiel women. Their names are Bane and Ciaran. So they're gonna go back to Two Rivers. He wants to go back home, and he promised Matt that he would check on Matt's mom and his sisters, and he's just trying to get grounded all over again, which makes sense. Moiraine, Lan, and Egwene, and Aviendha and Elayne, love it. They decide that they are going to go on the quest together. But Rand is like, we're not going where you're saying that we're going. We're going to go to the Aiel people because that prophecy makes more sense than whatever it is the Aes Sedai is talking about. And with the Aiel, he's the Karakarn. So their whole thing is he's going to come and he's going to save a lot of people, but he's also going to cause a lot of destruction. But the way that theirs read is more like a cleansing almost, and it seems more metaphorical than literal. And Moiraine didn't know anything about this prophecy until Aviendha's filling her in on everything. And I find that the 2 prophecies kind of give me the dichotomy of like Europe during those times and European ways and what's the word? I always get in front of this camera and I forget how to like channel words. The way that they interpret and then preach the word, right? And then you have like Haitian culture, you have African culture, you have indigenous cultures who have their own gods, who have their own lore, who have their own stories, right? And then colonization happened and it was like, no, my story of Jesus Christ the Savior is the only motherfucking story that exists. And so you kind of have that same parallel where Moiraine is like, wait, there's something else. And Aviendha is like, girl, you think y'all's the only ones whose prophecy exists? Like there's other people that live out here and we don't go by y'all's rules. Y'all stuff so far seems like it gets everybody killed. So you might want to come with us and learn something new. So Moiraine is like, okay, I'm down like a little bit, you know, we'll see what it is. And so episode 1 ends with everybody again splitting up. Now, as a lover of horror movies, of course I'm yelling at my TV screen, stay together. But you think they do that? No, whatever. Everybody got their own like quests and stuff like that, but like all y'all almost died last season. Like I know it was like for a purpose, but I just can't help being like a viewer and just being like, oh, let's stay together. Like that's all I want. Like I just want y'all to make better choices. But this moves us along into episode 2, titled A Question of Crimson. And again, the director is Ciaran Donnely, and the writer for this episode is Kate McKenna. Okay. Now, just a reminder, I'm only giving you like snips and bits of each episode. You need to go watch it. There's so much that happened in these episodes, and I don't want to give it all away. I know that I can now at this point, but I'm not going to. You need to go watch the show, because like there's just so much that happens on screen that I just cannot convey with my words to y'all. Just go watch the show. So to me, this is one of the filler episodes, and I genuinely enjoy this episode because it's given us some historical context. And for someone, like I said, I did not read the books. I feel like season 3 has 2 specific episodes that are fillers. There's like 2 in Impossible, but there's 2 specifically that are fillers that ended up making me be like, okay, I can go read these books. Season 1 and season 2, so much happened so fast. And then in the real world, with the way things were going on by the time that they were filming, during season 1, COVID happened. During season 2, the writer's strike happened. So even the showrunner and the creator, he was just like, we couldn't do everything that we wanted to do because we had so many outside sources that were dictating what we did and how we went. So there was a lot more time and a lot more care given to the stories, specifically the backstories in season 3. And 1, I love the transparency of that. 2, I just love that this is a nice place with season 3 to slow down. Not only are the characters recovering from all of these attacks and they got like a little bit of reprieve, the audience can recover with them, if that makes any sense. Okay. So 20 years ago, the Queen of Judkins, I said, what did I say earlier? Where Elayne was from. Morghese. So Morghese is pregnant with Elayne 20 years ago. And in her Great Hall, she is addressing, there was some type of like uprising, some people trying to overthrow her or whatever. And she's sitting there and she's like, look, you know what? If you just bend the knee to me, it is water under the bridge. And so 2 ladies and a child, she couldn't be no more than 10 years old. They bend the knee because they were the main ones captured who were from this other faction. Now, little did they know, the water under the bridge would be the blood from their slit throats in this Great Hall. Okay? So, again, we're starting off these episodes like, what is going on? I also like that when season 2 ended, the main 5 who have the connection to the dragon is Rand, Perrin, Nynaeve, Egwene, and Matt. But Elayne was there too, because when Nynaeve couldn't access her power to heal Rand before he did what needed to be done, Elayne was the one there. And so to find that Elayne is also in the same age group as the people that they were looking for the dragon, I like this thread of Elayne being connected to them as well. And apparently in the previous books, she actually entered the story sooner than season 2, but Rafe decided to wait to bring her in so that they have more time to really flesh out who she is, how powerful she is, and how integral she is to all of them. So I'm just kind of loving this whole thread with all of them. And I love that even with Nynaeve, she's older than them. So it's like, is Elayne the original 5th member, and Nynaeve is meant to be their wisdom and meant to be their mother or their Amyrlin to work together to bring peace to the world. So that's kind of like at this juncture in this episode, like those are the things that's running in my mind. And Nynaeve is not a part of the dragon's fate at all in that particular instance, but Elaine's, because Elayne, Rand, Perrin, Egwene, and Matt are all 20 years old / about to be 21. They're all the same age, and the Dragon Reborn was somebody who was that age. Okay, so now we're getting back into the today of things, and Morghese pulls up to Tarvalon, and she goes in to see Siuan, and she's like, where the fuck is my daughter? Because word on the street is that it's some stuff going on in here, and I know you're trying to keep it all hush hush, but I'm not trusting it. I'm getting my girl, and she's going home. So she comes with her brothers, she comes with her man, I think his name was Gabriel or something like that, and he is like her lover for the past 10 years or whatever. Because she's not getting married? No, her daughter is taking over this throne. And Morghese is trying to convince Elayne to leave, but Elayne is like, Mama, I hear you, but this is a strategic opportunity for Drakon to actually have a real Aes Sedai to take over, and not just this little fake little ring that you got on your finger. Like, it doesn't work that way. 1, 2, you need to trust me. I'm learning here, I'm growing here, and after everything that I just went through, even though I can't tell you everything, trust and believe my powers are growing enough for me to be able to defend myself. So I really need you to just trust. And contrary to what we saw in the first few minutes of this episode, and going back to the flashback of 20 years ago, Morghese loves her daughter. She don't like Siuan. There's definitely some beef there. She has an Aes Sedai as her like second in command, who is Elaida. And Elaida don't like Siuan anyway. But honestly, the reds and the blues got hella beef. And Elaida is a red Aja, and Siuan was a blue I said Aja, a blue Aes Sedai, and Elaida was a red Aes Sedai. So they already just don't like each other. But Morghese is like, okay, I love you, daughter. I'm gonna let you stay. I'm leaving your brothers here. Okay? If anything happens to you, I'm burning this shit down. And so she goes back to Siuan, and she's like, okay, my sons will be here. They can work on becoming warders, so do what you need to do with that. Elaida is gonna stay. Okay, and if I hear anything else, I will kill you. And so Siuan's like, okay, girl. But she also knows, like, we need to keep everything hush hush. Like, we cannot have this getting out with everything that's going on with Liandrin, because it's just going to cause mass panic with the rise, basically, of the Black Aja. So back at Two Rivers, Perrin goes home to find that it's overrun and kind of like militantly protected by the White Cloaks. However, the White Cloaks are there. They went there first off looking for Perrin and looking for family members of Perrin, because the son, what is his name? I'm pretty sure I wrote this down somewhere. Let me look. I don't think I wrote it down in the first 3 episodes. What is his name? All right, let me look through this. Let me give y'all his name, y'all. I know the people who are like super into this know the name, but I just binged like the first 2 seasons, and then I watched all of this, so the names are just all over the place. Dane. So Dane is the son of like the leader of the White Cloaks, and he is the one whose dad that Perrin killed. So they went there initially looking for Perrin and anybody related to him, and if they were related, they were capturing them and killing them. But at the same time, they were offering protection from the Trolloc attacks. And so it was just like, I will protect you, but you will give up any and all information about Perrin. So Perrin goes back and he sees his mom, and she's like, we need to get you off the streets, bro. They looking for you. And when he goes into the house, we see Maxim and we see Alanna. They fled Tarvalon after Yvonne was murdered. So Yvonne and Maxim were 2 warders that were connected to Alanna. Yvonne fell in love with Alanna, and Maxim fell in love with Yvonne. Is it Yvonne or Ivan? I feel like it's Yvonne. And fell in love with him. And so then they were all bonded together, and they had a poly relationship. But again, PTSD, grief, it's running rampant. And they're not really showing each other love the way that they used to, because they are in pain, and when one is in pain, the other feels the pain. So it's just a cycle of pain and not a cycle of anything that is conducive right now. But Perrin is like, what? Like, this is crazy. And he's like, okay, well, we'll figure out a plan to figure out like what's going on. How can we get from underneath the White Cloak's thumb? I can try to talk to them, but in the meantime, where's Matt's mom and his sisters? Y'all, they got captured by the White Cloaks. At this point, Perrin and Egwene was captured by them, and the questioner, he eats people, y'all. He eats women who he believes are channelers, and then he burns them. So he'll eat their hands because they use their hands to weave, and then he'll burn them and watch them burn alive right in front of him. So Perrin is on a whole new mission. He's like, okay, we need to figure out like what's happening, because this ain't good, and if that means that I gotta turn myself in, then I'm gonna just turn myself in. But with Perrin though, right, love is in the air, just a little bit. I just love the sprinkle of relationships throughout this entire season, because I think that more so this season than I've seen in the previous seasons, we are really leaning into relationships. And I'm talking about like romantic relationships, friendships, trust, not being so arrogant that you think that you can like fight and be the hero all by yourself, not being so proud that you won't ask for help. And so we're really seeing like this battle is forcing people to tear down those walls and let other people in, and realize like we can do more together, and we can be stronger together. Even those of us who aren't channelers, those of us who don't have like these supernatural powers, all we got to do is stick together and we can do anything. So I'm just really loving like where this is going the entire season. Okay, getting back to this. So we're on the road to Aiel. Lanfear is manipulating Egwene's dreams and throwing her back into that cell with Rhenna. But like I said from episode 1, Rand isn't telling anybody that he's still talking to Lanfear. But what's crazy to me is how you on this trip and you ain't told nobody that she can be in dreams. Like Moiraine knows, but Moiraine ain't, like, to me I feel like Moiraine is kind of operating in the space of like, that ain't my business, so it's not my right to tell her. But you know that this girl is having these dreams and she's waking up with real bruises and you ain't saying nothing. I just thought this was really suspicious. Like, Rand, why wouldn't you say anything, and why wouldn't you ask her about it? And it's not that it would be easy for Egwene to offer this up. While she did offer up some information about it being Rhenna, it makes no sense that she's getting hurt. And even Moiraine had to ask her, is he hurting you? Like, girl, what is going on? And she's like, it's not that. Like, it's not that. But she's suffering in silence. But I also see a battle with Egwene where she's trying to reconcile and kind of blend the innocent person who she was, a bright, doe-eyed woman, into this warrior and somebody who's actually taken a life. That changes you, okay? And then not only it being changed, but being enslaved and being tortured. Like, so much has happened with Egwene. I can definitely see why it wouldn't be her first thought to offer this up, because you're feeling like, if I'm this strong now, I should be able to handle this on my own. So while we're doing all of this, Rand talks to Moiraine about the powers, because Moiraine is kind of feeling like Rand doesn't really know what he's doing. But everybody's been telling her, girl, we know you've dedicated the last 20 years of your life to the dragon, but this is also a different person. So you need to figure out if you can dedicate yourself to Rand and trusting his decisions. But Rand has been talking to Lan, and Moiraine's kind of like upset that Lan is getting more information from Rand, but he's just like, you don't fucking listen. Anything I say, you think you know better. But all of this has shown us that you don't. You said we was gonna go into what was it, Brythe or something like that, when we first went through the Way Gates, and you said that we had to go there to defeat the Dark One. We ended up releasing his second in command. So obviously you don't know anything. And she's like, well, I know you're scared of the power. He's like, girl, I'm not scared of the power at all. I actually feel its beautiful touch every time I take a breath. And she ends up talking to him like, how do you, like, I guess he was just trying to explain, like, there's a sweetness to his power. The one that moves and is gold and red like a flame of a dragon. But then there's a part that's bitter. And then his channeling and his weave start to turn black, and they're intertwining together. And he's just telling her, like, you gotta take both, girl. You gotta take both. And I'm not afraid. I'm just trying to work through my own stuff to help keep everybody safe. Because y'all keep saying the more you channel, the more you get mad. Now me, Kimashi, I don't believe that is true. I think it's a lie so that the women channelers could take over the world. Because I don't think that we heard anything about Luce Thorn, the original dragon, going mad. Ishmael could channel and he wasn't going mad. Like, I just feel like it's a lie. And I feel like the Aes Sedai were capturing these men who could channel and were doing something to them, to their minds, to make it appear that they were going mad, to justify their murders. Specifically the Red Aes Sedai, because they were the main ones responsible for capturing and gentling these men, but they were murdering them in cold blood. So I don't believe in this prophecy that the Aes Sedai has been dealing with for the last however many years. Don't believe it. All right. In one of Egwene's dreams, okay, so this is going to be something very pivotal in this season. In one of Egwene's dreams, as she's getting choked by Rena, she actually ends up, like, accidentally throwing herself out of her nightmare. And she ends up in this dream with this older lady who's kind of dressed like Avienda, so you can assume that it's an Aiel woman. And she's like, you're not supposed to be here. And then she ends up waking up. Okay, so she gets up and she's like, this shit is getting real weird. But it's time to continue to go to the Aiel lands. And as they're walking, Avienda's peeping around and she's like, hell no, I'm seeing some stuff. Who blabbed? Who said that we were on our way here? And Moiraine and them was like, who? Girl, we've been out here in the desert. Like, who are we talking to? And they ended up getting pulled up on by three people. And one of the ladies who ended up being part of that party was the one who told Egwene, you're not supposed to be here, in her dreams. They knew that they were coming. Y'all. I love episode 2 so much because we really spent a lot of time with Egwene. And you really spend a lot of time with Rand and Lanfear as well. I didn't talk about Lanfear too much in this episode. You can watch it. But as a filler, you really just get to sit with people's intentions, and you get to sit with their motivations, and you get to sit with them questioning themselves. Like, I think episode 2 was the episode of just having too much time on your hands to think. And it was really challenging everybody, and all of them were just trying to figure out, like, is this what we're supposed to be doing? Or, like, should we just go and try to just live a quiet life, and if the world ends, the world ends? Like, that's just kind of the vibe that I got from episode 2. Now moving on to episode 3, guys. The director, Thomas Napper, and the writer is Beverly Okhio, and this one is called Seeds of Shadow. Ooh. So, remember how in episode 2 I told you that Morghese had a man, her consort, for like the last 10 years? Y'all, it's all a lie. That man is one of the Forsaken. He compelled an entire kingdom into remembering that he's been there the past decade, ever since Elayne was little. What the absolute fudge. So for those of you who are new to this, I forgot to put it in my season 1 and season 2 recap. Ishmael thought that Lanfear was going to betray him, and the task at hand. So he released all the other Forsaken, 4 other members to be exact. So just, actually, let me get their names. So we already talked about Moghedien. She's my favorite Forsaken so far. As far as the powers and stuff that I've seen, she's my favorite. Let me see if I have the rest of their names listed in here. Lord Gabriel, which is the Queen's consort. And where are the other ones? I don't see the other ones. And honestly, Gabriel is like one of the main ones, and Moghedien as far as 2 other Forsaken whose identities are really shown in this season. So yeah, so he ended up being one of the consorts. Lanford called him and another one, and she's like, listen, Moghedien is up to something, and we really need to just rally together and make sure that, you know, she's good. Now, Moghedien has been prophesied, or I don't know, whatever the folk tales are, she's allegedly the weakest. But so far, I haven't even seen anything that says that she is the weakest at all. And Lanfear is moving like she's afraid of her. So Lanfear has this meeting, and she was like, look, we all just need to band together and, you know, make sure that she can't do nothing to harm us or get in the way of the big plan. Well, Lanfear ends up leaving. Moghedien was right there in the shadows listening. She's like, y'all cannot trust this hoe. Like, oh my God, do you see what I was talking about? So clearly Moghedien already talked to them and was just like, this is what she's gonna say, I promise you, because she literally does this shit every 3,000 years. And lo and behold, Lanfear making the same mistakes that she made all them years ago because she's blinded by love. So, like I already said, everybody is scheming. You can't trust the Forsaken. You can't trust the Aes Sedai. You can't trust no regular villagers. Like, everybody's a liar. Everybody's a schemer. You really just need to do stuff on your own. You can't even trust your own kids, okay? Moiraine's nephew, back in season 2, even showed us that much. Like, you can't trust nobody, and that is the beauty of this show, because there are no alliances. And I feel like as viewers, you want to like connect yourself to people, and especially when people try to connect themselves to somebody who's good. I don't have that problem because I'm always like siding with the villains, but you want to fight for the good guy and you want to stand behind their cause. But if you just look at all of the season, look at all the episodes, like, whose cause is actually the one that's more important? Everybody has their own motivations, even the evil people. And a lot of the motivations don't come from something that's inherently evil. It's born out of love for something or someone else. So that's really like the beauty of this show, is you can either root for everybody or you can hate everybody, you know, just, or you can go back and forth like I do. Like, it just is what it is. Okay. So Nynaeve and Elayne are called to investigate 2 of Liandrin's crew. So Siuan wants them to investigate what's going on. So they head to the library and they're just trying to figure out like everything that's going on, because they ended up interrogating 2 of the women who didn't escape the tower. And Elayne, so smart. Nynaeve is very surface level, but I think she's just, her being blocked is just in the way of like so much common sense. But Elayne actually has more grace and uses her authority to be able to combat Nynaeve and her just being bossy. Because Nynaeve is very bossy and she wields trust like a weapon. And Elaine's like, okay, anyways. So they were like, you know, it's more in what they didn't say. So let's go take everything and write everything down that they said, and let's start looking in between lines. And that's when they realize, as they're going through the archives and the artifacts, that the artifacts that were stolen were the collars. But these aren't just any collars. While Elayne and Nynaeve recognize them, it's written that these are collars to enslave a man. So instantly, the plot of what's happening with Liandrin is she wants to collar the dragon. And it's like, oh my God. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is they don't have all the pieces. And so Nynaeve and Elayne need to hurry up and figure out like how to get to that other piece.
But as they're figuring this out, they're attacked by a gray man, and we found out in last season that Moghedien is the one who be creating these gray men. And as Elayne is getting ready to attack back, they go outside and he's dead on the ground because he got stabbed. Well, one of the sisters ends up showing up. What is this girl's name? Let me look up her name. Her name is Verin. There we go. I know her name. Why did I forget that? So Verin shows up and she was like, oh my god, what a tragedy. Well, you girls get out of here and everything's gonna be cool. We'll get this cleaned up. And here go Nynaeve. I don't trust her. We're not safe here. We need to hurry up and leave. Because why didn't she ask us who stabbed him? Like, what's going on? So again, everybody's antennas are up and nobody's trusting anybody. But I can say, out of everybody's motives, I trust Verin. I trust the side characters more than I trust the main characters. And I trust Verin a lot. I trust Alana. Obviously, I love Egwene. I don't know, but Verin kind of gives you like back and forth a little bit, but like I feel like I'm more forth with her than I am back. She's like the Moghedien of the Aes Sedai, like in the shadows, scheming, weaving, and getting people to do things and getting answers. To me, that's Verin. Like, they're the same. And if Verin was like evil or forsaken, I think her and Moghedien would be a great power duo. So one of the big things of trying to figure out where this collar is Nynaeve and Elayne need to go to Liandrin's hometown in Tanchico. So when Liandrin shows up to Tanchico, girl, she done took them braids out. She said, I got my little crimps. I got my little braid out. I'm not tied to nobody no more. She comes in there with her people. Again, the Power Rangers assemble. And she busts in on a wedding. And it was the grandson of the man who raped her and got her pregnant. And as she flips the veil of the bride was also like 13. Girl, Liandrin told everybody, ain't nobody leaving this room alive. And got to work. So first order of business was justice. Like, Liandrin has multiple motivations, but the one thing that stays constant is her advocacy for rape victims and child brides because of what she went through. But as Lanfear kind of hinted at in last season, before she took the last breath of her son's life, her rage because of what happened to her also made her a prime candidate for the Dark One. Like, she was just jaded at such a young age, and it's led to this, unfortunately. So, you know, first order of business, we're about to destroy this whole family line. You're not getting any more kids. It's done. My son is dead. You're dead. It's not happening anymore. But Liandrin is also aware that that collar is somewhere in her hometown. Meanwhile, Egwene is talking to the wise ones in Aiel, and they're having a conversation, and she's like, you know, I'm having these dreams. Like, what's up? And the lady tells her, like, I didn't come to your dream. You came to mine. So it looks like you're a dream walker. And she was like, it's very rare that an Aes Sedai is a dream walker. But Lanfear is a dream walker, and she's the only one that we know of so far. I think Ishmael could go in there to go into dreams too. I just don't think they were accessing it from the same source, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I didn't read the books. And so the wise one's like, if you're getting hurt in your dreams, then something in your dream is actually real. Because you as a dream walker, not my spit busting me out, you as a dream walker control the dreams. If you believe that you're more powerful, then you're more powerful. If you want to be somewhere else, then you're going to be somewhere else. Everything that you dream up is yours. But the fact that this person can put their hands on you and leave marks on you, you're dealing with someone else that is very much real. So they decided they're going to work with her and help her dream hop within their dreams talking her through things. And so we get to see Egwene channeling something else and accessing another power. And I just love how her story is just opening up. Like, she's more than everything anybody has given her credit for. And I really wish Alanna was with them to see this, because I think Alanna of all people would be gagged. Alanna was also one of the main people who was saying like, oh, Egwene has a lot of power, but Nynaeve, you're stronger. I think she would have to eat her words, but I also think that she would be very proud of Egwene. And I think that Alanna could gain some strength from Egwene if she was around her. That's just my 2 cents. Okay. Perrin is still trying to turn himself in, y'all, at this town hall, and it is a mess. Sir, you are just such a good person that you can't even turn yourself in, right? Like, the townspeople was like, okay, we know the White Cloaks been helping us from these trial looks, but like, Perrin, no, you're a son of the people. You're not turning yourself in, so you need to come up with another plan, okay? So his mama was like, yeah, get your ass in that bar, get you a couple of drinks, get you some food, get you a good night's rest. We will find another way to get Matt's mom and his sisters, but turning you over to the authorities for you defending yourself, that's not what we're doing. So Perrin is kind of left to giggle a little bit with Loyal, and they joke about it, but they need to figure out a way for him to keep his word and a way to kind of reconcile with Dane a little bit, because he does feel bad. There was like a little bit of a respect, at least, because they were fighting side by side when Perrin lost it and killed his father, but his father should have never killed that wolf Hopper. Like, it was clear they were on his side, but the father was such a witch hunter and very much a I don't know if y'all seen Castlevania, but he was very much like the abbot. Like, the way that he moved was in a religious zealot kind of way. So him killing Hopper was just because he wanted to. There was no reason when Perrin and Hopper were fighting by their side in the city of Falm. So I wouldn't be trying to reconcile with Dane. I don't give a shit. But, you know, Perrin is a better man than me. Okay. Next, coming up in this episode, y'all. So I already told y'all that Nynaeve and Elayne figured out like what these bracelets were for and figured out Liandrin's motivations. In the final scene of this episode, it's actually confirmed that Liandrin wants to collar Rand al'Thor. It's like you want people to be wrong and then they're not. So between all 3 episodes, I have a headache. I'm so stressed by them. Like, they do too much and not enough. But you know what? Nynaeve, Elayne, and Matt, because Matt is not going anywhere. Matt's power makes itself known again in this episode against Elayne's brothers, and they're going on their quest to Sanchico because they have to get these things before Liandrin. Liandrin is already 3 relics ahead, but Min ends up sneaking out with them and following them. Now Min, she can see people's futures or like a possibility of a future, and just because what she sees is there and it's harrowing, she doesn't necessarily see the before or the after, right? So for example, in season 2, she saw that Matt killed Rand or stabbed him, And so in her mind, she's like, oh my God, Mat is going to kill Rand. Well, Mat did throw a spear to try to kill Ishmael, but it ended up being an apparition and it stabbed Rand. So everything in her vision was coming true, and Mat's, I'm sorry, oh my God. But what she never visioned was Egwene blocking Ishmael from taking out Rand, from Moiraine blowing up these ships, and from Elayne healing Rand enough for them all to take Ishmael down. So she's like that, right? But she keeps seeing so much in Mat. And so her storyline and her visions are directly tied to Mat and his story. So it makes sense that she would sneak and leave with them. Oh, my overall thoughts of the premiere of The Wheel of Time season 3, first 3 episodes. Man, y'all aren't ready. I'm still not ready. And I've seen it, and I just can't wrap my mind around anything. Things that I want. Nynaeve continues to get on my nerves. She been getting on my nerves. Y'all need to go see my tweets. Nynaeve been getting on my nerves for a fortnight. I'm just so tired, but I also recognize, like I already said, stress, depression, PTSD, especially PTSD. PTSD is fueling people in a lot of ways, and it's blocking people in a lot of ways. And so we're making a lot of mistakes that we probably wouldn't make if our chakras were open, or if we just talked to one another. Perrin's eyes are permanently gold once Hopper died, so he kind of fully tapped into that. I really want Perrin to... He's still walking around like, oh, I'm this lone wolf. Like, wolves don't do that, bro. They work better in a pack and in a family. And so I feel like Perrin needs to reach out to, what's his name? Elias. He needs to reach out to Elias and the other wolves and try to come up with some plan where he can still have his autonomy, but forge a treaty and an alliance with them so that if he ever needs them, they can actually come to his aid. Because in the last season, he basically revoked their offer to stay with them and within their brotherhood, which is why Hopper was the only one that went with him. But it's just like, he still needs to get to the point of embracing who he is, and I just don't think we're there yet. Egwene, I'm super excited for Egwene. With her and Lanfear now being two people that can, at least two people alive now, that can go through dreams. I'm really excited to see a dream battle off. I don't know. Egwene, favorite character. Favorite character hands down. Questions that I have. Who did Morgase kill? I really need to know more about that. And why is Elida here? What is your motivation? And what is the beef? Everybody is so mad. And it's so crazy to me because the Amberlin seat is supposed to be mother or whatever. And they're all supposed to be sisters. They all fucking hate each other. And it's crazy. It's y'all wouldn't be able to bring down the Dragon Reborn if he was evil in the first place because you don't know how to work together at all. Y'all can't play together long enough to reel things in. You're literally broken. You're literally broken. And everything that happened in episode 1 with Liandrin and her ability to convince so many other sisters to join her side for the rise of the Black Aja shows that. It was always backstabbing. It was always ulterior motives with every single one of y'all. And for a whole bunch of women who can't lie, all y'all been doing is thwarting the truth and manipulating words to your own gain. The irony of them being truth sayers is not lost on me when half of them motherfuckers that was in the hall during that war were liars. What? This is crazy. But I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And then also just the final thing that I'm here for, I really need Avienda and Elayne to get back together, because I'm like, we need a new lesbian couple. We need a new lesbian couple, because Moiraine and Siuan, like, the people on the internet are calling it a divorce. Rosamund Pike called it a disagreement during one of her interviews. Like, girl, that was not a disagreement. Baby, y'all are broken up. Y'all are broken up. That was, yeah, y'all kind of experienced an act of betrayal last season. Like, this ain't it. This ain't it. And so kind of needing to see the young people in love and just kind of doing something else and having something fresh, especially with so many other fractured relationships. Like, I just really want to see something bloom like a little flower bud, and that's basically what they are. But I get it. Elayne, having been raised to be able to take over a throne, Elayne has so much wisdom for her age, right? And she's such a natural leader, and I get the sense that she doesn't necessarily want to be, but she's natural. And then also her relationship with her mom, it seems so genuine. And so I'm just genuinely curious as to what happened and why she slit them other people's throats. Like, I know you're ruthless behind your daughter, as you should be, but to see that at the beginning of episode 3, but then see how soft and tender she was with Elayne and trusting her and allowing her to go through the arches as well. I'm just really curious about Morgaze's story as well. And will it come out? Will she be told that Gabriel is lying? Oh, the tangled web, the dark webber's weave. Love it so much. But yeah, so there's that. The Wheel of Time. Season 3, episodes 1, 2, and 3. Again, I apologize for talking so fast, for being so excited that I was forgetting people's names. I don't know, man. Y'all need to stream it every Thursday, only on Prime Video. I will try to be on the timeline. Maybe not for the first 3 episodes, y'all. That is 3 hours. I've already dedicated 24 watch hours to this season, but starting on the 20th, I will definitely be on the timeline as they're releasing 1 episode at a time. It's a little bit more manageable, but I will be on Twitter just throughout the weekend, just kind of talking about things and seeing what everybody thinks of the first 3 episodes, where they think the season is going to go, and who they're rooting for, who they're not rooting for, and all of those things. So as always, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave comments in the comments box below. If you have people who only want to listen to the audio only, make sure you share the Spotify and the Apple Podcast link. You can find me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast, again, where I talk about so many other shows, upcoming shows, and where I post little short form content of things that I do not review on the podcast. And you can find me on Twitter and TikTok at Kibanchi. Lots of people have been in my comments on my review of the season of The Wheel of Time. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much. I hope that y'all find y'all's ways also into the YouTube comments. Sorry, almost said content. And that we can just keep talking about this for the next, it's 8 episodes. We just got 3 for the next 5 weeks. Yeah. And with that, I will catch y'all in the next one.